Hello everyone, Pally here, and welcome to Path of Exile 2, a game that has completely consumed my life since it has released. Maybe you've noticed we've been doing a ton of streams for this game, but I wanted to take a quick break from that and actually make some guide content. Hello, welcome. This is my level 40 witch ascended to a blood mage, and I'm playing as an essence drain Contagion playstyle. That was my favorite way of playing through PoE 1, and when I saw how easy it was to get this offline in PoE 2, I had to dive straight in. Before we jump into the nitty-gritty details, let me show you some gameplay. Let's get out there and let's kill some stuff. That's the best way to see if you're interested in this. I suppose a little context is in order for where we are in the game. I am in Act 3, the first time around. In Early Access, they have the game set up so you play through the first 3 acts, then you play through them again on a harder difficulty, and then you actually reach the end game. Once PoE 2 fully releases, that is going to change. As you can see, my main way of dealing damage is with a spell called Essence Drain. It is a projectile that applies a damage over time to any enemy that we hit. And then that projectile, with some of our support gems, is also bouncing around to additional enemies. Now, its dot effect is fine on its own, but what really ramps it up is adding Contagion into the mix as well. There's a bunch of zombies over there. How do I get over there? Let's go to these guys. I wanted to make a video about some of my critiques of this game, and this is a great example. This guy has body blocked himself, but that's a video for a different day, not for now. Oh, beautiful, yes. So, Contagion spreads any dot currently afflicted on the target when they die, and then jumps it to another person. The damage of the dots increases each time Contagion spreads. So if you get a great pack like this and get your basic combo on them, it is only a matter of time before the entire pack is dead without any extra work from you whatsoever. You may have noticed that the enemies on my screen are moving pretty slowly. One of the biggest reasons I was dying early in the game was I was just getting swarmed by mobs and then body blocked. I needed to find a way of fixing that. Well, I also turned it into a way of increasing my damage. We're running a double curse setup with Blasphemy Aura, so you may notice these symbols popping up above these guys' heads. Basically, if they get too close to me, they enter my curse range and then get mega debuffed and can barely fight back. Let's say that dot damage on the ground, for whatever reason, was not enough damage. I can then take the dead bodies of others that we have killed and essentially turn it into yet another dot on the ground with Profane Ritual. This is something you can spam out and have them spread all over the place. I decided to pace out a little bit slower, give it a bit of a cooldown, but have it take up a much wider area so that more enemies can be afflicted by a single button press just walking around. I suppose there is one more mechanic going on behind the scenes. Sometimes when these enemies die, we may see a sliver of like white essence on the ground. It kind of reminds me of perfect! Kind of reminds me of like a Casper or a ghost of some kind. You move in, you pick that up, it gives you more energy shield back. I thought that would come into play great with another of our mechanics. I guess just remember that. I'm going to talk about it more in just a minute. I'm super let down with one aspect of this character, and I guess it's time to start talking about the nitty-gritty details. And just like that, we're back in town. Friendly reminder, if you guys are enjoying the content, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It helps us out a ton with the algorithm. I would also love to know your take if you're playing a witch down in the comments. I have another video I want to make on a monk, and I'm actually leveling a second witch with a different Ascendancy. You might see why in just a moment. So, I went for Blood Mage with this character. The idea of spreading the plague around to everyone around us while also siphoning their life to make myself stronger sounded super cool. The first node you get is called Sanguimancy, and it gives life remnants that just sit around, and I can pick up these globules, just like we encountered with the little ghost essence that I was just talking about. Well, there is a massive problem with this. I was ending up using more of my life to support my spells, then I could recoup, because getting health back in this game is much more difficult. You may notice there's only 2 flasks instead of the 5 from PoE 1. So I was having a hard time staying alive. The easiest way to fix that was to respec out of my Ascendancy point. So my Ascendancy, my bonus class that I'm playing, is only giving me +3 maximum life right now. Once we ascend again, this issue will solve itself, and we can funnel our own health into dealing damage to enemies, because we'll have extra spell damage leech his life, so we're going to be able to recoup some of that cost. But for right now, I was super disappointed that I had to respec out of this to make my character playable. Starting as a witch means we're starting at the top of the Ascendancy tree, and I know a lot of people freak out when they see this, but generally speaking, I think the PoE 2 tree is much more approachable, because a lot of the defensive nodes that you used to have to play around are simply removed. Now, there are some defensive nodes here. We can get maximum energy shield in a few different places around us. However, a big part of tracking in PoE 1 was just going to different health nodes and then figuring out where you could get damage around those nodes. My first impression is that is no longer the case. So starting from our witch area, I made my way up to pure energy, then took a left, immediately getting these cast speed increases as well as some damage increases, and then we grabbed extra chaos damage. Now you may notice that this chaos damage is kind of purple on the map. That is consistent. Everywhere you look, you see purple. You're either seeing something chaos damage related or something curse related. It is super duper easy to spot. And then of course there is a search function over on the left. So most of these are pretty straightforward. Chaos damage gives me more damage on all of the dots we're spreading, and this one also gives me global defenses. That sounds great. We then made our way up here to the right and grabbed Lingering Horror, so we have skill effect duration. That means our contagions can spread even more across the screen with even less for us to do. I do, however, want to point out that I was pathing over here to Event Horizon and then Spaghettification. However, these two abilities really rained on my parade. Specifically, lose 3% of your life and energy shield when you cast a Chaos spell. I have 787 life and only 571 shielding. I was never able to regenerate any of my energy shield because it was constantly gone because I was constantly casting. So I respec'd out of this side of the tree and eventually made my way up to the double curses. There are still plenty of nodes that we could grab. One I want to point out here too is zone control with those double curse. Enemies you curse are hindered with 15% reduced movement speed. As far as where I'm going to go from here, I think I'm going to pick up a Wither Away. These kind of talents over here, we'll see if we can grab some more chaos damage. There's more energy shield kind of tucked away all over the place so we can make ourselves more tanky. And I love the idea of increasing our curse effectiveness as well. As far as our skills and their supports to make all of this possible, we are running Blasphemy. It is reserving a bit, 126 of our spirit over here on the right. We just kind of can passively retain that. We don't have to lock away bits of our mana anymore. Although it did take some specific gear to have this much spirit. Once we were able to get it, I feel like our build really popped off. Despair is one of our curses, lowering anyone nearby us. We're taking away a bit of their chaos resistance, and then we're also running Enfeeble with this as well to make any enemy around us deal less damage. Magnified Effect makes the invisible dome around us that curses enemies simply bigger. We're then running Contagion to spread all of our dots, making it easier to cast with Arcane Tempo, and then having it jump around to more targets with Unleash. This was a tip from chat. I really, really like this support. You may notice I have not extended all of my abilities to have multiple slots on them just yet. I did just gain access to some Jeweler's Orbs. I have not decided what I'm going to do with all of these just yet. We are messing around with some stuff for Essence Drain. I suppose I'll talk about that right now. Essence Drain is our main way of dealing damage. It is a projectile we shoot out that has a dot. We made it chain to other enemies. This is great with our Contagion jumping around as well. We also have Swift Affliction on this, so it has less duration, but it packs more damage into that shorter dot. What I really want to throw in here is Extraction. I just don't have the level 3 support gems yet. Maybe I'll actually get enough support gems to play the build the way I want one day. We're just not there yet. Profane Ritual has simply been increased with Expanse, which does give it a cooldown, but allows it to take up a wider area as well. Withering Presence is another spell we're focusing our spirit on. Withered allows us to deal more chaos damage to enemies, and we simply have to walk near enemies to debuff them with this. So, we're walking in with our dome of debuffs anyway. This is just adding more debuffs onto it. Persistence just makes those withering little globules last a bit longer, so we can keep up more damage. Grim Feast is the thing that was giving us the Essence Shield back, and while we're concentrating on this, I'm also regenerating 1% of my life per second. That's my setup right now. I would love to know how you guys would build this out a bit more. I just added on this socket to my Essence trade. We got to figure out something to put in there. But this build has been performing great. I'm super duper pleased with it. Aside from our Ascendancy, I'm going to keep pushing this character towards late game. Next time you see me, hopefully I'm moving in and pushing through maps, and we can give you a bit of a late game update on this character. Editor Walter noticed I didn't talk about my gear at all, so hey, we're back. Yes, I'm using a level 14 wand and a level 40 character. I haven't found a better one yet. Increased spell damage is going to make all of our dots deal more damage, as well as the +1 level to all chaos spells is helping us out a ton. I mentioned I had some specific gear to get more spirit. That is this scepter right here. You can get more spirit on other scepters as well, but the 42% increase on this bad boy was basically what enabled me to be able to concentrate on so many spells all at once. As far as everything else, I'm trying to get energy shield, max life, and resistances on everything that I can. I don't even have extra movement speed on my gear. This crap is garbage, you know, aside from my gloves. But I feel like these aren't really intended for late game. These are definitely leveling gloves because they just don't have any defenses on it to actually help me when enemies start fighting back. Good thing we're debuffing everything constantly. That's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you again very soon.